We're talking about the healing power of presence, the first of several videos, just to give some tips on how do we be present with another person, especially when they're going through healthcare issues or maybe a caregiver is going through that with a family member. How do we do that and make a difference? And really what we're talking about is listening for feelings. Listening for feelings. But not only listening for feelings, we're also responding to feelings, responding. And so how we listen and how we respond to the feelings that are being expressed will determine whether or not our presence, our being with someone is healing or not, or helpful, responding to feelings. And typically what happens in our society is that some people try to fix feelings, and what I want to encourage you to do is don't try to fix feelings. In other words, if somebody is scared, to simply say don't be scared is not going to help. If somebody's depressed, if you say don't be depressed, that's not going to make them not depressed. So what I want to encourage you to do, instead of trying to fix a feeling, I want to encourage you to try to help a person talk about and move through a feeling. Move through, or at least talk about, well, I'll spell that right there, to talk about that so that they're able eventually to move through that feeling. And so instead of trying to fix it, we want to help a person actually talk about it and to feel it. And so let's begin here by thinking about 4 different categories, if you will. 4 categories for feelings that'll help you know what to listen for and what to respond to. One category of feeling is feeling we'll just call sad. Sad. And this is a feeling that has many different words that people, when they're talking about this category, of course, they'll say, I'm really down, or I'm discouraged. Discouraged might be a word people use. You could come up with others here. Depressed. Could be a lot of different things that someone's going through. But if you'll listen for this category of sad feelings, and we're only going to mention 4. So if you just remember sad, is this a sad type of feeling? Then you'll be able to come back and ask a question about it. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Besides sad, there's also, we'll call it mad. And of course, mad is when somebody's really angry about something, or someone is really frustrated about something that they're experienced or have experienced recently. This is a category of feelings when somebody is really mad. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to bookmark these as well. What I mean by that, you know what a bookmark is. Let's draw one right here. Looks like a bookmark. A bookmark is something we put in a book to come back to make sure that when we leave off somewhere, we want to know right where we were. So I want to suggest that when we're listening for feelings, listening to a person's story, they might be sad, they might be mad. You don't have to interrupt and ask more about it. You can, but I want to suggest that you bookmark it and come back to it if the person's in the midst of telling their story. And so a third feeling you might be listening for, just besides sad and mad, might be one called glad. That's a category that comes out in different ways. Somebody's really excited about something. They are maybe really happy about it, and you can really help them by responding to hearing that particular category of feeling. And I'll talk about that in just a moment, how we can do that. And then finally, the fourth category of feelings. Unfortunately, all these don't rhyme, but sad, mad, glad. The fourth one I'll just call afraid. Afraid. And there are a lot of different words people use for this category. Somebody might say that I'm really scared. Another person might be anxious. But you're getting the picture that if you will learn these four areas of sad, mad, glad, and afraid, as you're listening for feelings, you can respond to them by bookmarking them in your own mind and coming back to them. You know, you might say, I heard you when you were talking about that when you got your diagnosis, of what that was like for you. It sounded like that was a really scared time for you. Can you tell me more about that? And that leads me to a couple of tips I would give you. One is ask an extra question about that feeling that you heard. Ask an extra question about that feeling. And then, once you ask that extra question, be quiet and listen to what the person has to say. Remember, you don't have to fix the feeling. You just want them to talk about it and explain it more to you, make it clearer, help you to get it better. So when we're listening to another person's story and they're going through a problem, maybe they're have a real health care issue happening in their life, and we're on maybe their support team, what we can listen for is sad, mad, glad, and afraid, and then asking an extra question about that, and then being quiet. If you do that, that will be so different than how most people are responding to their story throughout the day, that you'll make a difference in their life, because most people are trying to fix it or move away from a feeling, but instead you're going to help them move through a feeling by asking them more questions about particular feelings. Your presence, your being with someone, can be healing if you listen for feelings and respond to those by helping a person talk about them.